Does your dog completely ignore you in public, even if you have their favorite treats, their favorite toy, and you're saying commands that you know that your dog knows? You say these commands in the house and they listen. Well, this is because you cannot get their attention and they don't know how to ignore distractions. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can say your dog's name around anything and they will look at you, actively ignore whatever is going on, and then listen to the thing that you're about to say. Literally, the thing that gives you the perfect dog. This is the most important thing that you could ever teach your dog. Coming up. Your puppy could know a million commands, but if they don't know how to focus on you and give attention around distractions, everything is worthless. You're probably thinking, well, why should I listen to you? Well, I've been a dog trainer for the last 14 years. I've trained some of the most famous dogs in the world. I was the head trainer at one of the biggest dog training facilities in the UK, where I was employed literally to implement my methods with the other trainers that were there. But what really sets me apart is that I worked for a high profile family where over a 10-year period, I raised a pack of 20 dogs. That basically meant for 10 years, I had a puppy living with me that was under 6 months at all times. I became an expert in raising calm, neutral dogs that actually listen in the fastest, easiest way possible. So now hopefully you trust me a little bit more. Let's look at the very first thing that we need to do. So the very first thing that we need to do is just get the dog to look at us for a millisecond. But I want you to ask yourself this. What are you asking your dog to choose between? And why is this important? Well, take a look at this graph. If our distraction scores a 9 out of 10 in interestingness and your puppy or dog sees you as a 2 out of 10, well, I can guarantee you that your puppy is going to choose the distraction and to ignore you instead. But it's a bit deeper than that. Think about this. When you're 4 years old, you go to nursery and they teach you things to prepare you for primary school. And then you go to primary school and they teach you a curriculum that is going to prepare you for secondary school. We've basically created a system which understands our level of education and then teaches us things in a very methodical way to make us smart enough to do very complicated things. Well, we need to do exactly the same for our puppies. So what we're going to do to set our puppy up to succeed is we're going to change the environment and we're going to teach them in a place where they can actually understand and listen. And by the way, the Focus Blueprint ladder that we'll be going through today is free in the link in the description. I've been working on this thing for a decade. It really is how I train every single dog that I work with. And you get a free email with every run on the ladder that literally just guides you through every step of this process, so you just really can't get it wrong. You have this video to refer back to, you have the emails, and you have the exact blueprint. You really can't get it wrong. So step number 1 is we need the puppy's name to equal eye contact. So we need the puppy to hear its name and instantly look at you. This is called reflex to name. And the way that you're going to teach this is by going down onto your knees so that your eye level is a little bit closer to your puppy. Put your hands behind your back. You're going to make some kissy noises and you're going to encourage the puppy to look towards your eyes. And then the millisecond that your puppy looks at you in the eye, mark and reward. You do not want to make the huge mistake that most people make, which is waiting for 2 or 3 seconds of eye contact before rewarding. That's not what we're teaching here. Once they are responding to some kissy noises and finding your eyes, then we can connect the name. But we still need to get the timing right. Now, with timing, I'm not just talking about the timing of your reward. I'm talking about the timing of your communication. When are you asking your puppy for things? Because if you just wait half a second, that could be the difference between your puppy listening and your puppy ignoring you. Meaning, if your puppy is getting up out of the sit and they're looking around and you say their name, they might not even register and hear you. Whereas if they're in a sit and they're waiting for something and then you say their name and they really hear it, you're setting your puppy up for success, and that's all we want to do at this stage. Now that we can say our puppy's name and they will actually give us attention, we need to add on something incredibly important. And this is called the window of opportunity. This is the amount of time we have to deliver an instruction when we have their attention. This is incredibly important if you want your puppy to listen around distractions. All this means is we're adding some duration onto their name. And this is how we're going to do it. You're going to set up exactly the same as before. You're going to say your puppy's name. You're going to get your puppy's attention, and then you are going to say good. This means they're on the right track. So when I am doing this exact session, I'm making sure that I'm trying to teach my puppy what I mean with my energy. Stay with me. I'm going to say, good, well done, good job. You can feel that my energy is nice. This means continue doing what you're doing. If they stop and they look away and they get distracted, it's going to be very clear with my energy that they've just done something wrong. I'll be like, no, no, no. And then I'll set up, I'll start again. So they understand that good is this path that they want to stay on for something good to happen. And if they come off of it, something bad happens. They don't get their reward. Right, now that we can say our puppy's name, get their attention, and we've got a window of opportunity to actually communicate with them, it's time to introduce our first ever distraction. But we're going to make this incredibly easy for you and your puppy by breaking it down into two very, very simple tasks. Number one, we're going to teach them how to look away from a distraction. And number two, we're going to teach them how to actively ignore the distraction. So how are we going to get our puppy to look away from a distraction? The secret is to be able to control the distraction. So the first ever distraction that we're going to introduce is just the treats in one or both of our hands. Just like before, you're going to get onto your knees, you're going to put the puppy into a sit, but this time you're going to put both of your arms out. You're going to wait for the puppy to look away at either one of your hands, which they will do, trust me. And then once they look away, you're going to wait 1 or 2 seconds. And then you're going to say the puppy's name, and once they look away from the distraction, you're going to mark and reward. Once you can reliably do that, we can now add movement and really make this distraction a proper distraction. The puppy is going to look away from you, look at this hand, and this is where it's key that we control the distraction, because once the puppy does look away at your hand, you are going to stop moving your hand, say the puppy's name again, and get their attention. You want to continue doing this until you can't trick the puppy, meaning your puppy is looking at you, you're moving both of your arms, and you're saying, good, well done, good job. And then you can say yes and reward. They understand that these two hands are moving and they are not allowed to look at it. Now, the reality is we cannot control all distractions. So how the hell are we going to get this to work in the real world? Now, we're going to do that through our focus flow sessions. But before we do that, we need to address something incredibly important. Whether this process works for you hinges on 2 things. Number 1, do you have enough leverage? And number 2, have you lowered the level of interest your puppy has towards these distractions? Now, what is leverage and how do we get it? So leverage is your dog's currency. Now think about us. Our currency is usually money. We trade our time and our skills for money so that we can trade our money for things that we actually want and enjoy. Now, what is your dog's currency? Because they don't give a shit about money. What do they care about? There's only really 2 currencies that we can use with dogs to get them to work for us, and that is food and games. But even just with food, there are different values for each kind of food. So if you go out and train and you try and only use kibble, then your dog's not going to work very hard because the value of kibble is very, very low. It's like you going to a job and them saying, okay, I want you to work all day, but I'm going to give you £5. There's not enough value there for you to work for that boss. You want to provide enough incentive for your dog to work really, really hard for you. So even just going from kibble to ham might make all of the difference. Going from ham to cheese or chicken to duck to liver to all of these different things, your dog is going to have different value in the different foods that you can offer it. So really go through different foods and test what your puppy actually wants to work for. Now, unfortunately, leverage on its own isn't enough. We also need to lower the level of interest that our puppy has towards distractions. Now, how on earth are we going to do this? Well, we're going to make the world more boring. Now picture this. I'm going to give you the same scenario and I'm going to give you 2 different outcomes. Scenario is we're going through the park and there are lots and lots of dogs. Scenario 1, you unclip that puppy runs towards the other dogs and it has a playtime for 15 minutes and it goes crazy with lots of boisterous dogs. It's having rough and tumble playtime with these really, really fun, awesome puppies, right? Interest in dogs goes up, interest in you goes down. Alternatively, you build drive for games and you teach your puppy how to play fetch in these games that your puppy really, really loves. You take a food pouch of treats that your puppy really, really loves. The puppy stays on lead and you are super, super engaging and you block the puppy from going and playing with these other dogs. Now, what do you think happens? The level of interest towards other dogs goes down, and the level of interest your puppy has towards you goes up. Now, if you combine this with our focus flow sessions that we're about to go into now, you have completed dog training, honestly. So let's jump into the focus flow session and how you can take your puppy's focus from inside to outside. So step number 3 is our focus flow sessions. This is where usually I'll go outside of somewhere like Costa Coffee, where there's going to be dogs on lead, there's going to be people, there's going to be cars going by, there's going to be lots and lots going on. I am then going to do an obedience session where I'm trying to get the dog to do things that it already knows, like sit, down, under, heel. I'm trying to get it to do all of these things, but I'm going to be doing it after I get focused. Now, there's one thing that I've already sneakily taught you how to do that is going to make this session work. And that is before, when you introduce this distraction, what you are actually doing is creating a very easy system or a pathway for eye contact. So yes, you were teaching your dog how to ignore a distraction, but you were also teaching him that when you put your puppy into a sit and you put your arms like this, eye contact follows, focus follows. And that is why this is now going to work in public, because your puppy understands this as a new system. So it's not just the puppy's name that is going to get eye contact, it is the whole setup. That is why this is going to work so beautifully. So you're going to go into this very distracting environment where there are a million things going on. You're going to have leverage. You're going to use some treats that you know that your puppy loves, not kibble. You're going to use something high value that your puppy is going to want to work for. And you are going to lure your puppy into a sit. You're going to set up exactly like before, and your puppy is going to know what to do. You are going to encourage it and reward it so heavily when it does give you eye contact, and you are going to be engaging. You're going to be more interesting than the environment. That is why this is going to work. So what's really amazing about these sessions is they just have so many little payoffs. Yes, you're teaching them their commands in public. Yes, you're teaching focus and you're teaching them how to really focus on you, but you're also teaching them how to be neutral and ignore other things, which heightens their responsiveness with all of the obedience and focus. It really is just the perfect ecosystem of getting your dog to listen in public, and it all comes from focus. But none of it is going to matter if you don't actually have instructions that you can give your dog that is going to make your life easier. So watch this video here, because I'm going to teach you every single command that your puppy needs to know.